First, a disclaimer. What follows are my opinions. I'm not a doctor, so nothing that I say should be taken as medical advice. If you have any questions about your health and your body, you should consult your physician. What I will be presenting are my experiences, and they're just that, my experiences. Yours will likely be very different, or different, whatever. It's going to be yours, these are mine. My hope is that I can provide some perspective as well as some information that you can look into. I'll be providing reference materials regarding inguinal hernia, the inguinal hernia repair options, nutritional support, and some of my post-operative experiences. So if you're here watching this video, chances are you suspect that you have an inguinal hernia. You've noticed a lump in your groin, or maybe your doctor has told you that you have an inguinal hernia. So what exactly is an inguinal hernia?
And they're very thin muscles down here. We're talking about inguinal hernias, down in the groin, just to the right or left of your junk. That's a weak spot. And a lot of times we are born with this weak spot that never actually fully closes.
So males and females have inguinal canals on both sides of their groins. For males, the inguinal canals provide an opening through which the testicles drop from the abdomen into the scrotum at about 3 to 6 months. For females, the inguinal canals hold the round ligament of the uterus, and apparently the round ligament of the uterus maintains the tilted position of the uterus during pregnancy. So there it is, both males and females have inguinal canals. So I first noticed a small lump in my groin about a year ago. I think it happened about the time I was cutting up some trees that had fallen on our property, and I probably did some things lifting logs that were pretty heavy and maybe twisting or something like that. Fortunately, there weren't any symptoms with my hernia. There was just a lump, and so I looked up the information on Dr. Google and found out that, yeah, this could be an inguinal hernia. So I made an appointment with my physician, talked to him, and he confirmed that's what it was. At first, he was calling it kind of a hernia, but not really, because, like I said, it was asymptomatic, so it wasn't that big of a deal. So faced with a hernia, what options do you have? Pretty much there are only two options: watchful waiting and surgery. And according to the paper that I'm going to reference here, it looks like surgery is the only option, because from this research, it showed that 75 or 80% of the men over 50 after 15 years ended up having surgery anyway. At 64 for me, I decided that in 12 to 15 years, I'm going to be close to 80, and I'm probably not going to be in the kind of shape I am right now, and I don't want to deal with that then. So I decided to go with surgery right away. I looked into 3 different kinds of surgery. There's the open surgery, which is pretty much direct. They just go to the lump, cut it open, push everything back in, put a screen in sometimes they just stitch it back up, but otherwise they just put the incision back together and off you go. The other two options are both laparoscopic. There's one option called TEP, T-E-P, that's totally external peritoneal. There's TAP, transabdominal preperitoneal, and both of those, like I said, are laparoscopic. There were some benefits to the TEP version, the totally external peritoneal. Basically, that's where the doctor goes in under the muscle, but between the muscle and the peritoneum, and they go through that void to the point of the hernia and then repair the hernia with a mesh. The TAP, the transabdominal preperitoneal, they go through the muscle and through the peritoneum into the abdominal cavity. They kind of worm their way along with the intestines and everything else, and then come back up about where the hernia is. They do the same sort of repair with the mesh, and then they back out, and off you go. From what I read, and I can include that information here, there can be some complications with the TAP version where they go into the abdominal cavity. There can be some adhesion of the intestines with the peritoneum or some problems. The TEP is more complicated and requires a little more technical expertise for the doctor, but it really appears to have a much shorter recovery time, which is what I'm finding out. Because the day after my surgery, I went out for 6 short walks for about a mile total. By the second day, or the second day after surgery, I was walking up to a half a mile, and I did that about 4 times. Today, this is my 3rd day after surgery, and I went out for a mile-long walk. And I'm pretty much up to my normal pace of about 2.5 to 2.7 miles per hour, which is, just a good leisurely walk. And I'm not really having any pain problems. I didn't take any pain medication after the first night. So I came home, I got some oxycodone in the recovery room, and got home, and that was about 2 o'clock that I got the oxy.
All right. Just woke up from anesthetic. I'm in the recovery room. Little achy tummy. Not in the inguinal area, but where all the instruments inserted into my belly. Kind of achy.
I took my second oxy at about 10 o'clock before I went to bed. So that was 8 hours since I had had the other oxy. And I wasn't really in all that much pain. I was uncomfortable, but wasn't horrible pain. But I wanted to make sure that I was able to get some sleep. I wasn't sure how the first night was going to be. The next day, the first day after the surgery, I didn't have any pain medication whatsoever. No ibuprofen, no acetaminophen, no oxycodone. And I haven't had any since. So I think that's a really amazing testament for the quick recovery from the TEP method. My first consultation was with a physician who did the TAP method. And since what I had read, I really was looking forward to using the TEP method. And so I was able to get a different physician and went through with the TEP method. And like I said, I think it's the way to go. I've seen some videos online of some guys who have had the open method, and they're in pain for days, and I'm doing really well. I mean, I had surgery 3 days ago, but my goodness, I'm not on pain medication, and it's really, really pretty pleasant. And this is the point where this is really up to you and your physician, because I'm not a doctor. So my experience may be relatively pleasant because my hernia was pretty mild. I didn't have any entrapment or whatever that's called, where it gets stuck in there and it gets all twisted, and I didn't have anything like that. So the open method or TAP, or depending on your physical characteristics, if you're overweight, maybe one of the other methods is much better for you. Maybe for a worse hernia, maybe open is the best way to go. All of that are things that your physician and you can work out together. But for me, this really worked out well, the TEP method, and so that's what I'm bringing forward. I'm going to have a lot of links with this video, so you can do a lot of research on your own if you'd like, or you can show some of the research to your doctor, and so you can work it out together what your best options might be. But I hope this has been helpful for you. I don't want to do this again, but it's, as far as surgery goes, this has not been all that bad. I'd like to share some of the things that I've done as far as nutrition goes. I've been doing a lot of supplementing before the surgery, and I've kind of changed that and upped some of the supplementation post-surgery to help my body kind of repair. So one of the first things that I did unrelated to this surgery about 7 months ago, I quit drinking alcohol. When you consume alcohol, it gets broken down because it's a poison and your body tries to get rid of it as quickly as possible. One of the first enzymes that act on alcohol is something called alcohol dehydrogenase. Alcohol dehydrogenase removes 2 hydrogen atoms off the alcohol molecule and creates a carcinogen called acetaldehyde. That carcinogen fortunately lasts a pretty short time, but when it's there, when it's in our bodies, when it's in our brains, it does a lot of damage. It's what causes the flush when you're drunk. It causes headaches, the lack of inhibition. Your impulse control goes out the window, so you speak louder, you say things you never would have said, you do things you wouldn't normally do. That's all because of alcohol and the acetaldehyde that's poisoning your system.
My understanding of what I would call the center of mass of the literature on alcohol is that no consumption, zero consumption of 0 ounces of alcohol is going to be better for your health than low to moderate consumption of alcohol.
So now for some things that are good for you. I make my own kefir. I usually make it out of half and half, which makes a really creamy, wonderful, delicious drink. Kefir does a whole bunch of things. It helps your microbiome, and keeping a healthy microbiome improves your mood. It helps pretty much everything else in your body. I would recommend it. It's read about it. I have some links in the show notes. I've also been adding unsweetened cocoa powder to my coffee and to my kefir. One of the things that I've been adding it for is a chemical called PQQ. I'm not going to try to pronounce the words that PQQ stands for, but suffice to say that it improves mitochondrial health and it helps to create more mitochondria. For a little bit of background, each one of our cells, except for our red blood cells, have these organelles, small organs within the cell called mitochondria. There's a long history about how they got there, and it's really quite fascinating. But mitochondria take glucose and turn it into energy, a molecule called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. All of that just to say that the more mitochondria and the healthier your mitochondria are, the better health you're going to have. And mitochondrial health can also help with the energy that it takes to repair after a surgery. So that's one of the things that I started taking unsweetened cocoa powder for, is to up the amount of PQQ, increase the health of the mitochondria, and hopefully increase my ability to heal. Cinnamon is another thing I've added. It's an antioxidant, and I'm sure there are other wonderful things about cinnamon that I haven't really looked into very deeply, but I'm adding cinnamon as well. Mainly, of course, I said for an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, really great, and it tastes good too, so I add it to things. Vitamins B3 and K2 together really promote bone health, immune support, health for your heart, and hormone creation. So K2, D3 alone that we get from the sun or from supplementation or both sort of mobilizes calcium in our systems. The K2 helps to bring that calcium into our bones, and it actually has been shown to help possibly reduce atherosclerosis and plaques, calcium plaques within our arteries, and take that calcium and put it in our bones. Some research has been shown to show that, but it hasn't, I don't think it's been proven completely yet, but it sounds like good news. So B3 and K2. Vitamin C is also a wonderful thing. With healing from a surgery like this, our connective tissues have been torn apart and they really need some help. So vitamin C along with collagen really help the repair process to get kicked along. Vitamin E is another great vitamin. It helps with wound healing, health for your heart, antioxidants and skin health. So vitamin E is another great thing. Two things that I've started taking recently that really promote well-being, cognitive well-being, as well as sleep and the onset of sleep, the quality of sleep, are two things. One is called theanine and one is called magnesium L-threonate. I'll put some links in the show notes. Both of these really support, like I said, sleep quality and the onset of sleep and the ability to get back to sleep if you have to wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom or whatever. It helps to calm your mind so you can get back to sleep a lot easier. A couple other things, quercetin and zinc, they work well together. They're antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. They lower blood pressure. So a whole bunch of wonderful things with zinc and quercetin together. Coenzyme Q10. Coenzyme Q10 is used by our mitochondria to create that thing I was mentioning, ATP. So it helps with energy. It can prevent blood clot formation. It's a great antioxidant. It's great for heart health. So that's another thing that taking coenzyme Q10 is really good for. And if you're on statins, I'd read about coenzyme Q10 as well. Statins prevent the formation of coenzyme Q10. So taking a supplement is probably pretty critical if you're on statins. But that again, talk to your doctor about that. But read up on it, and so you can have a good, educated conversation with your doctor. Bovine colostrum. That is kind of an interesting thing. It really strengthens immunity. It improves gastrointestinal health, and once again, just like kefir, if you increase the health of your gut, everything improves. Your brain capabilities, your mood, so many wonderful things with bovine colostrum and gut health. Whey protein, since your muscles are cut into for surgery, you really need to repair those muscles again, and you need protein. You need animal protein. We're animals, so we need animal protein to do repair. And whey protein derived from dairy is very available for our bodies to use. So whey protein is a wonderful source of protein. It's incredibly safe. It tastes delicious, and it promotes muscle building and repair, reduces inflammation. It's an antioxidant. Lots of great things about whey protein. Another supplement I've just recently started adding and found out that it's quite amazing is something called creatine. That also improves muscle repair, recovery from exercise or surgery, improves energy, it improves brain health, bone health. It's quite amazing. There is a whole bunch of research that's coming out very recently on creatine and how much it promotes good health. Taurine is another thing that's just like creatine in a lot of things, just anti-aging, in fact, improves immunity, liver health, bone health. So taurine is another thing that I've included some links to read up on. And one of the last things is NAC. N-acetylcysteine really helps promote liver health, especially after a surgery like this when we've been exposed to things like anesthesia and pain medications such as ibuprofen, but especially acetaminophen, Tylenol, that can damage your liver if taken in high dosages for a chronic period of time. Opiates also are metabolized by the liver. So all these things need to be metabolized by the liver. The liver is really working hard during and after our surgery. So we need to help promote its health. And N-acetylcysteine does just that. So I hope that this was informative. Like I said, I had the TEP, the TEP method for repairing my inguinal hernia. I'm really doing well, as much better than I was thinking. I was really concerned that I would have to be sitting around in pain for weeks and wouldn't be able to do anything. But that is certainly not the case. I was off of all pain medications the night of the surgery. That was the last I took, and I haven't looked back. One of the things that I was really concerned about was losing the shape that I'm in by sitting around for 5 weeks, and I think that's probably going to be the biggest problem, is just waiting until I can exercise and not tear this all up. I want to make sure that it gets repaired. So along with the TEP, I've mentioned some things about walking. Walking is incredibly important. Everything I've seen online and the information that I got post-operative, walking is incredibly helpful and important after this procedure. So get out and walk, shuffle if you have to, but believe me, if you shuffle in the morning, by the afternoon you're going to be walking, and by the third day you're going to be walking normally if everything goes well. I was just fine for walking a mile, and that's really a great sign. Some of the supplementation that I included links to and some information, hopefully that'll help as well. I have no idea whether or not that has helped my recovery. I am an N of 1. I'm the only person that I know of that is in this experiment that I'm doing on myself with this surgery. So I have nothing to compare it to. All I know is my results, and they've been good so far. So before doing anything, again, please talk to your physician, and I wish you well if you're going through this too.